Live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Welcome to Ticket Weeknights
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. Another edition of Heart of a Husker. And this next guest is the heart of not only the Husker, but the heart, I think, of that offensive line back in those days to help us catapult the younger guys into what we did in 97 and then help us get to the championship. Bring in Dr. Rob Zadiska.
Rashawn, how are you doing?
I'm great.
So here's my question. You've had some of the other pipeline guys on already, correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you tell all of them they were the heart of the pipeline or just me?
Just you. Just you.
I'm asking Sty about that. I'm following up on this. I'm checking you here.
Hey, listen, you know what? I know I'm gonna have to deal with all five of you guys on July 22nd up in Norfolk, Nebraska for your
Norfolk.
Yes,
Norfolk. Norfolk's in Virginia.
No, sir. I got somebody from Norfolk.
Okay, Norfolk.
It's fork. It's no fork. It's fork.
They got spoons only?
I guess. But no, I've been good, man. It's been great to talk to you guys, to just talk about some of the old memories, some things that I think are key pieces that people don't necessarily pay attention to. You know, like offensive linemen back then were always team captains.
You always did have some. I mean, when you look at the offense, Mark Schlereth, the former Redskins Hog offensive lineman, and he was on those Super Bowl winning Denver teams. He's got a great speech that he gave at a football. It was a football coaches clinic. And he gave the speech, and the key point he made is that there's probably few people that are, and I'm not trying to take anything away from fullbacks and tight ends here, by the way, but the point he made is that from an offensive line standpoint, it's arguably one of the more skilled positions. Nobody calls it that. But you've got to be able to react and play against some of the best athletes on the opposing team. I mean, you've got to play against the 300-pound interior defensive lineman. You've got to play against the rush end types. You got to go against those 6'5", 260-pound guys who could almost be a track athlete at defensive end. You've got to play against the linebackers, whether it's the big old school Mike Ditka types who were like the 6'3", 250-pound middle linebackers. You got to play against, the guys like we had, like Ed Stewart and Troy Dumas, guys who could take on an offensive lineman, who could cover a wide receiver, those speedsters at linebacker. We had to play against those guys. We had to come around on pulling plays, on those traps and on those counters, and be able to pick up a safety in open field and match up with those guys and block those guys. And so there was a huge amount of versatility that those guys had to have when you're playing at that line position. And that's something that I think linemen have always had to do. So I think people don't look at line play that way, but if you watch a football game, look at who the linemen are playing against. Because you're going to, on one play you might be taking, as an offensive tackle, for instance, you might have a defensive end on one play, a defensive tackle, a nose guy on another play, a lineman on a play after that. You might be coming up on a safety or even a corner on a screen pass in those open field situations on a play after that. So there's this constant churning over of skill sets in terms of who you're having to match up with. And I don't think that's something people really look at. I think most of the time you look at it, well, it's a bunch of big uglies up front banging into each other and immovable objects against irresistible forces nonstop all game. It's good linemen are people who can move. And that's something that I think in any sport that's true, at any position in any sport. You got to be able to move. It's just I don't think people think of offensive linemen in that regard.
How were you able to be a 4-year starter?
And it was. I will clarify this. It was intermittent. I mean, I started games as a freshman, a sophomore, full time junior and senior. I think there was kind of a movement in recruiting in the sort of a mold I fit into. At the time when I came out of high school, I was a guy that would have been in a lot of eras, whether it was before my time, after my time, people would have looked at me and said, "That's a defensive lineman. That's a guy. That's a 3-4 DN. That's a guy who's 6'5", 275 coming out of high school. That's a guy who maybe is going to get moved to an interior defensive lineman, like a Ty Robinson type right now." That was kind of what I came out of high school as. I mean, if you want a good parallel to guys who are down in Lincoln right now, it's probably somebody like that 6'4" to 6'6", 270 to 290 when they came out of high school. When I graduated high school, I was about 290. But I could consistently run my senior year in high school, kind of in the 4.7, 4.75 range.
Wow.
Now, I'm not saying my lateral was that good. Straight away, I could get mass moving in a straight line and keep it moving at a pretty good clip. But that was a mold that for a lot of people pictured that was like, well, this is a guy who automatically projects to a defensive lineman, defensive end at the college level. And at the time, I think Nebraska was kind of maybe making a change, or a little bit the way they recruited linemen. They needed big guys who could run, and they needed guys who could do those pulls, those traps, those counters. Everybody looks at Nebraska as sort of this power game. Man, there was a lot of movement up front. And I remember my sophomore year, junior year, that was when Osborne kind of started putting in a lot of the running our entire run offense out of shotgun. So you had to be able to move. You had to be able to run. And so when they were recruiting guys, I think Tenneper and Dan Young and Osborne, I think they looked at linemen who could move. And I think that was kind of paramount, because you had some guys who, over the years, you had some big guys, you had some smaller guys, you had tall guys, you had short guys. There wasn't a physical profile they recruited. The one profile that they went after for most of Osborne's career as a coach, you had to have guys who could move. And I say Osborne, I'm talking about Tenneper and Young as the O-line coaches, but they wanted guys who could move, and that was kind of the profile they went after. If you were an Aaron Taylor, who was, I'm making fun of Aaron a little bit here, but if you were 5'10", 5'11", like Taylor or Matt Hoskinson, but you could move, that was great. If you were 6'4", 6'5", like myself, Sty, Uyghur, Graham, Wilkes, and you could move, that fit the profile too. You just had to be able to move.
Yeah, that's true. You know, when you compare that 97 offensive line, who was senior laden, who you got a chance to play with, John Zadiska, your little brother.
Yeah, he was like 6 foot, maybe.
Yeah, he was 6 foot. We were all 6 foot on that line. We all came in 1993. Talk a little bit about, one, who was the guy who showed you the ropes, and then how did you show people like your brother? Like, when I say your brother, I mean John Zadiska, Eric Anderson, Aaron Taylor, John Heskew, Matt Hoskinson, the guys who came in with me, who we would end up winning the championship in 97. How did you groom us for greatness?
So I think there was, when you looked at the guys that were kind of there when I hit the door, I mean, you looked at guys like Brian Boerboom, Jim Scott was a great mentor, David Deal, Kenny Malin at guard. These were some really, really great guys to learn from. And the thing that really came out of those guys who were seniors when I was a freshman, sophomore, and I mean, God, there's a ton of guys, Tom Punt, Terry Iman. I mean, it's just some of these guys who were juniors and seniors when I was a first year guy down there. Sort of the big lesson that came from a lot of that was accountability. And it was accountability to the team, and it was accountability to the guys that you were playing with. that accountability removes the me aspect of it. It's one of those. I'm beholden to the other guys on the team. I'm beholden to the guys that came before me, and you're beholden to the guys that are following. Like, you've got a responsibility to try and show those guys the ropes a bit, show those guys what that accountability means. And so that was something that I think really got instilled in us. And there was a ton of self-discipline. And I say that, and I think it's easy to, I don't want it to turn into, well, was that hazing kind of thing? But if you were at workouts and you were slacking, and you had Jim Scott from Ansley, Nebraska, who might be one of the most soft-spoken guys on the planet, he and a couple of the other juniors and seniors would drag you up into the stadium, and you would run a couple flights of stadium stairs just for slacking off.
Wow.
I mean, so there was a lot of stuff like that where you were held accountable just for not working out as hard as the other guys in a practice, or working as in an off-season workout, winter conditioning, summer conditioning. There was a high level of accountability there that if you weren't getting out there and getting after it in those workouts, you had an internal system of discipline that you would go through punishment laps or extra weightlifting or running stadium stairs. And that was something that, I mean, when you got 20 other guys standing there around you going like, oh, no, yeah, really, you got to get up those stairs. You're not leaving till you run 2 flights, 4 flights, whatever.
So players sent you up the steps. Okay.
Oh, yeah. This was no coaches involved at all, which if there were, I'm sure that would have broken a few rules. But that's the kind of accountability that when you have players sitting here going like, hey, our guy over here is like, I mean, he's just not pushing it like we think he ought to be pushing it. And it's one of those, it's only 78 degrees out. He's not going to die of heat stroke. He needs to work harder. He needs to get after it more. He needs to show that level of accountability to the rest of us. But when you've got an entire position group where you've got the 5th-year seniors, you've got the true freshmen, and all of them have that sense of accountability to each other. And like I said, it's got to go both ways. You can't have just the younger guys looking up to the seniors and saying, hey, I got to live up to what these guys have done. When you've got the seniors looking down at the younger guys and going, hey, we've got to be accountable to them. We've got to show them how to do it. We got to show them how to work harder. And all of a sudden, you've got the 5th-year seniors who are 2-3-year starters. You've got the guys like Will Shields is a great example. I mean, there's a reason Will Shields is in the College Football Hall of Fame. There's a reason Will Shields is in Canton. I mean, he's an NFL Hall of Famer. There's a reason for that. And it's not just that he's an amazing talent, that he's an amazing athlete. Nobody outworks Will Shields.
Wow.
But you had this whole slew of upperclassmen that you would look up at these guys. And I mean, man, talk about a gauntlet getting thrown down. I mean, there was a challenge issued day one from the upperclassmen, from those juniors, seniors, the guys that were the team leaders, the team captains. And it was like, and that challenge was basically, I dare you to outwork me. Now, when you've got a bunch of starters looking down at these younger guys and going, I dare you to outwork me, man, that's a hell of a team culture right there. It's hard. Yeah. That's hard to beat when it gets out on a football field, when you've had that kind of culture going year round.
Since we're talking about that, because I had to go back and look at how many years in a row that the team captain was always an offensive lineman, and then when did it stop? That doesn't really matter to me. As a team captain, what were some of your responsibilities to the team?
Well, that's an interesting question, because we had Unity Council first started when I was I think I was a redshirt freshman when Jack Stark started the Unity Council. And so you had that internal governing body on the team. Probably the biggest thing is just making sure that everybody's focused on that one goal. And again, that one goal comes back to that accountability to the team, to doing what's right for the team. I mean, even to the extent that, I mean, it's one of those, you had some, if there's strife, if there's guys not getting along at the time, and there's a lot of things that you can look at where you can say, okay, there's these two guys over here and they're not getting along. It's probably not that big a deal and it's probably not going to affect things. But man, you get two guys over here not getting along and three other guys over here not getting along. And then these two other guys over here don't think they have to maybe work as hard as somebody else. All of a sudden, then that accountability starts going away. And so I think as a captain, but there's probably this attention to detail when it comes to those little things, culture and accountability. There's this 1,000,001 little teeny tiny, almost seemingly meaningless fires. I mean, if I walk through your house and like light a match and flick it, it's probably not going to do much. But if I walk through your house and I like light 20 matches and drop them on the floor, I'm going to burn your house down. And so you kind of got to think of it that way. So it's that the job as a captain is you've got to find every little match and put it out. And so that's the kind of thing when you see an issue with accountability, when you see a thing with leadership, because as a captain, you've got to expect everybody to be a leader. Like good teams and good captains aren't led by a small number of people. Great captains are people who can point to 10 other guys and basically say like, hey, I need you to be the leader. And I mean, that was something that you talk about, like the pipeline offensive line. That was one of the great things about that line is that everybody on that line was a great leader. I mean, Aaron Graham, he was the little kid. He was the junior. He was only a fourth-year junior in '94. But, I mean, he was one of the most vocal guys on that offensive line. Joel Wilkes was like the epitome of a lead by example. Sty was like the angry fire. Zach was sort of I'm just going to kick everybody's ass and then crack a few jokes about it and keep everybody's mood a little even-keeled and lighthearted so he didn't get too uptight about stuff. Everybody had their different style of being a good leader. But
what about you?
I was the intellectual one. I was gonna overthink everything. That was my style. But do you know what my leadership style was? I was the guy who was going to go talk to the referee and get him to not throw a flag on Zach the next time Zach started getting lippy with defensive linemen from the other team.
Well, you was the voice of reason.
There we go. I was the voice of reason. I like that. But it's like, but you had to have great leaders do a good job of getting 10 other people to step up as leaders and getting those 10 other people to find 10 other people to be great leaders. You do that, and all of a sudden there's 100 great leaders. And I mean, and I thought that we had some great captains, some great leaders in my time. So got to silence that phone for Sean. I did mine before.
Listen, everybody, I'm doing this 8:00 deal and everybody wants to come over, bam on the door, call me while I'm on the radio.
It's the only time people want to talk to you is when you're doing this. So
man, these phones.
But no, that's you ask about the captain. I mean, I think really good captains, and I'm not saying I'm a great I was a great captain. It was
you were.
I was, kind of probably the biggest compliment I had the biggest compliment in my opinion was I remember because at the time it was all a team vote for captain. And I remember after we voted, we're walking out of the main team meeting room, the main auditorium. I don't even know if that place exists anymore.
It's over there still.
It's over there somewhere, but I think it's probably some lecture hall for the neuroscience department. But I remember we're walking out of there, and Damon Benning walks up to me and he was like, "Hey, I voted for you." hey, here's this little sophomore running back. He's a Northwest kid. I mean, you can't trust those guys anyway. They're a little sketch. But at the time, I just remember being like, damn, that's a compliment right there. I mean, that kind of meant something. And I always appreciated that. And I was humbled by that.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting elected as a captain with Zach. We were the two offensive captains that year. But I mean, the expectation in my mind was to try and find everybody I could on the team and get everybody to step up and be that leader.
We talk about 94, 93 we came up short. Me and Stein talked about what was the transition, what was life like losing to Florida, getting cheated by Florida State. I'm sorry.
I don't know if Florida State cheated us. I think the refs. We had some bad. I think it was like ACC refs. It was horrible, but
losing that game.
Yeah.
How did we catapult, and how did you guys look at 94 season? Pulling your socks up and saying we're getting ready to build this pipeline.
There was kind of multiple steps there. I mean, one, on one hand, that 93 season to this day still hurts. And probably the thing that hurts most about it is I think about the guys who are the seniors, the fifth-year seniors on that team. And I'm always going to feel like we let those guys down.
Wow.
I mean, that still bugs me to this day because that was a great group of guys. I mean, you had Trev and Kevin Raymakers, and I mean, it just Corey Dixon, that was his last year. I mean, you just had some amazing people on that team who were seniors in 93. And you wanted to see those guys get that ring. And so there was this level of accountability where you felt like you let those guys down. And I remember part of that accountability thing and part of the thing that made me always go back and look at it in the sense of that accountability to the people coming up behind us was that, I mean, I kind of felt as seniors that, God, we can't let those guys go through this again. We don't want those guys to have that emotional heartache of putting all that time, all that effort into this goal and not rising up to it, because we knew we had an amazing group of guys coming back again. And so we knew the possibility of winning that title was there that next year going into 94. I think probably the biggest thing from a preparation standpoint, a training standpoint, a work ethic standpoint, is that, and again, I was kind of serious when I said, man, I don't fault Florida State. That Florida State team in 93 might have been one of the most talented. I'm not saying best team, but might have been one of the most talented teams I've ever seen because they had it on both sides of the ball. Yeah. I mean, you look at that offense led by Charlie Ward, the wide receivers, the running backs. You looked at who was at Floyd at fullback. The offensive line was great. Clay Shivers was an amazing center. You looked over on defense. You had Derek Brooks at linebacker. I mean, he was, another NFL Hall of Famer there. Derek Alexander on the defensive line. He was a longtime Minnesota Viking. I had to play against him in the NFL. I mean, it sucked. The guy was just an amazing football player. So you had just outstanding athletes. So the Florida State team, I don't fault them. But there was a thing there where with the referees, they kind of had the sense of like, okay, we need to become so good, so well conditioned, so strong, so fast that we can be so good we can overcome bad officiating. That was the logic, was we need to become so good that there's no outside factors that can prevent us from winning this. We need to be able to become so good that a missed field goal as time expires, we can overcome that. We need to be better than missed field goals. We need to become so good that fumbles, turnovers, we can overcome all of that. That was the mindset we had.
Wow. Hey, heart of a Husker. I can't tell you the fastest 2 hours, but it's definitely going to go by just like that. Big Rob, Dr. Rob Zadiska, I appreciate you, big brother. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, I got to know, who did the most on the dumbbells? You?
Oh, you talk to Sty about this.
You or Sty? Because, well, wait a minute. I
got an answer for you. I got an answer for you.
All right, we'll be right back with more. Dr. Rob, 1/5 of the pipeline. Original.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has come to the attention of the Nebraska Lottery that when people hear a radio commercial in their car for one of our lotto games, Powerball, Mega Millions, or Lucky for Life, they tend to begin daydreaming about how they'll spend the prize money if they win, instead of paying attention to the road. So please, when I tell you that Nebraska Lottery lotto games offer big money and big fun, keep your mind on driving. Do not start thinking about all the things you could buy if you win. Things like bright red sports cars, tropical vacations, 100-inch TVs, hot tubs, SUVs, a new computer, motorboats.
Bob, snap out of it.
Oh, good heavens. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. Perhaps I should go home now.
You better let me drive.
Lotto games from the Nebraska Lottery. Top prize odds vary by game.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24.11 per hour, which grows to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Steve's Garage Doors and Services is hiring. They are looking for a garage door installation and service technician with a clean driving record. Experience is not required as they will train for the positions. However, mechanical aptitude is required. If you want to come be a part of a small business where you're family, not just an employee, call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today to apply at 402-480-2840. That's 402-480-2840. Steve's Garage Doors and Services.
This Easter, focus on your family instead of dishes with the Venue Easter to-go meals. Prepared fresh in-house by our chefs, these meals are ready to heat and eat with packages for 2 to 3 people or 6 to 8 and your choice of juicy beef tenderloin, tasty herb roasted chicken, or our famous 6-pepper crusted prime rib. All meal packages come with sides and we have additional add-ons available to complete your feast. Order today at venuedelivered.com/Easter. That's venuedelivered.com/Easter.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has come to the attention of the Nebraska Lottery that when people hear a radio commercial in their car for one of our lotto games, Powerball, Mega Millions, or Lucky for Life, they tend to begin daydreaming about how they'll spend the prize money if they win, instead of paying attention to the road. So please, when I tell you that Nebraska Lottery lotto games offer big money and big fun, keep your mind on driving. Do not start thinking about all the things you could buy if you win.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
That's right. The Ticket weeknights. Heart of a Husker. One of the biggest hearts of a Husker. Rob Patterson is with me. Big, big heart. Hey, listen, you do not want to miss the original Pipeline fundraising event out in Norfolk, Nebraska, July 22nd at the Warhorse Event Center. It's going to be epic.
Which, one thing I will to clarify for this event, it's all 5 of us. That does not happen often. So that's kind of one of the things. I mean, we've gotten together. We've had a couple of events so far that we've done all together as the Pipeline. It's not easy to do it. I mean, it's one of those, everybody's got a day job. You got Zach, who has businesses and has an office down in Texas, so Zach's back and forth. Aaron's kind of setting up some shop in Florida, so he's kind of back and forth all over with his real estate company. So those guys are on the road a lot. Joel lives in the Portland, Oregon area. It's hard to get all 5 of us together. So, I mean, if you want an opportunity to see all 5 of us, hear story. I mean, it's 2 of us together, we tell some good stories. 5 of us together, that's like a whole nother level of storytelling. And so if people want to show up, if you got questions, if you want to ask us about this, that, we've got some great stories. And the other thing is that it's our perspective on these experiences are a little bit different. Stein and I have one opinion on playing Miami because Stein and I had to butt heads with Warren Sapp the whole game. Joel Wilkes is on the other side of the line kicking the crap out of the Rock. He had that Orange Bowl game ends, and Joel's like, dude, because I had some number 94. He sucked. I don't know who that was. But because I spent the whole game hit and giggle against him, and Stein and I are sitting there sucking wind going, oh, my God, we've been chasing Warren down the whole night. So you get, like I said, you get all 5 of us together. It doesn't happen often. This is like a once, twice, maybe 3 times a year kind of thing that all 5 of us are around.
Yeah, it's going to be a great, great, great night. I'll be there emceeing and playing referee sometimes, but I'm going to get out of the way, man, and let them do what they've been doing well before my time. And, I always talk about when I finally figured out that I had to work out to play at Nebraska, I would come over and sneak by you guys and emulate what you guys were doing every day.
We love the weight room, man. That was our home, dude. We loved that place.
Okay, so which leads me to my next question. Who had the biggest, the most? I don't even know how to ask this question. Who had the most weight in the dumbbell press? Was it you or Sty?
Oh, okay. I was up there, dude. When it came to the dumbbell press, Sty was the master. That guy, because we had dumbbells at that. I think they went to, I think it was 180 pound dumbbells.
Yes,
it was 180 or 185 pound dumbbells, and like I remember, I could knock out like sets of 10 on those on dumbbell bench. Sty could do sets of 15 with dumbbell incline.
Oh gosh.
Which is harder to do than bench. And actually I saw Sty do like dumbbell military press, like dumbbell shoulder press up over the head with the 180s. His upper body strength was just, it was amazing. And he was like that from day one. He just had that kind of just that weird genetics. Because I remember he came in his true freshman year. We're in the same class. He's tall guy. He's like 6'4", 6'5". He was maybe 260, 265 his freshman year. He wasn't that, bulked out big. He was big. He was in shape. He was muscular. Guy looked like an athlete. He looked like an offensive lineman. But I was 290. I think Uyghur was like 275, 280. Sty was like 265. And I remember he would go into the weight room and throw 405 on the bench press as a true freshman and would knock that out like 8 or 10 times. And we're just looking and we're like, okay, for a guy right out of high school, man, that's kind of this guy just has some freaky genetics for being, he didn't have that massive bulk, but he just had that like innate strength. And then if you meet his family, you understood why, because you'd meet his older brother, Heath, and Heath was like the same way, just genetics. And then you'd see their mom and you saw where it all came from, is that you had this gal, she's awesome. But she's also one of those people who's just looked like an athlete, looked like she could just throw a hay bale. And you're like, okay, well, now I see where they get it. Now I know where it's coming from. I will say this. I could out squat Sty.
Oh, yeah? What was your best squat?
Oh, boy. But we never.
Well, index. Give me what? You did 465 for how many?
Oh, we would do like 585 for 10 or 12. But that was like a workout. So, you've gone and, that's like your last set on a workout. Yeah, but we would do.
We didn't do a lot of like heavy. I don't remember doing one.
We never maxed.
Right, there we go.
Yeah, we never maxed out. And I saw, it's like Nebraska's bench press record. They used to max out. And I remember like Danny Noonan had the bench record at 485. And then Lawrence Pete came in and Lawrence broke it and did 500. Well, we never had, they never had us do single rep record attempts after that. So it kind of became sort of this historical artifact. Now, I saw Sty bench press over 500 pounds multiple times in his time in Lincoln. One of the stories we always tell is that one of the reporters and photographers for Sports Illustrated came in to do the pre-bowl game issue for Sports Illustrated, where they did a profile on the offensive line. They did a profile on Warren Sapp. That was one of the big articles in that Sports Illustrated prior to the bowl game against Miami. And we had gone through, I remember it was a Wednesday practice. So we got done with practice. We did our condition. Remember gassers?
Oh, yeah.
We did our gassers. We had gotten done with all of our running conditioning after practice, had gone into the weight room And I remember Sty had done, like we would usually do kind of a quick upper body workout on Monday. We do another one on Wednesday because we wanted 2 or 3 days to heal up before the game. So Wednesday was like your last really heavy chest workout. And so I remember Sty had done a full bench press workout, had gone and hit and tries. We did some shoulder work, did a little explosive weightlifting work. And then the photographer comes up to him and is like, hey, can I get a pic of one of you guys, I don't know, bench pressing 500 pounds? And I remember we're like, dude, why didn't you ask us this like on Monday? Or at least why didn't you ask us this an hour and 20 minutes ago before we did all of our conditioning running? Before we did, like, we're done, like we're exhausted. There's like nothing left in the tank. Oh, let's just have Sty do it. It was like the old Mikey lines. Forget it. We'll just have Sty do it. He'll lift anything. And so Sty was like, okay. He goes, well, let's give this. So he went through an entire warm up again. And he had done some competitive powerlifting. So he kind of gets all geared up again. He gets warmed up. And I think it was either 515 or 525 on the bar. And so he gets like 515 or 525 on the bench press bar. And we're all standing around him. And the photographer's sitting there and he's getting ready to snap the photo. And I remember Sty takes it and we're all screaming at him. And it was as real could be. Comes down, blasts it off his chest, locks his arm, racks it. And I remember the photographer sitting there clicking away. And that ended up being one of the photos he used in the article. With wow. Sty, like he's got Sty literally like halfway through that rep. But Sty did a 1 rep with like I said, it was either 515 or 525. But it was real. I mean, you can call it a staged photo. But the weightlifting repetition was real. Sty put up over 500 pounds for that photo, and that's what they put in the magazine. But that was routine. I mean, if Sty ever did a 1 rep max in college, if he kind of did some powerlifting training, kind of got away from some of the higher repetition athletic training we did, because I mean everybody loves bench press, but I mean I think like 90% of our chest workouts were like the explosive jammers. It was the dumbbell work. It was all imbalanced stuff. Yeah. Because that had a better that kind of had a better carryover to whatever you're doing on the field. So, but I think if you gave Sty a chance to really get after it, do a powerlifting training routine for a few weeks, give him a good warm up, I could see Sty doing probably pushing 550 maybe.
Wow. See, that's the key to Nebraska football that a lot of people do not understand. That our big fellas up front, we could hide behind you. Literally. Literally.
But again, I'll go back to the thing. We were big. We were stronger in hell. But man, we could move too. And that was the dangerous combination.
And you were strikers. And I think that's what's missing is an offensive line, tight ends, everybody striking. Listen, Heart of a Husker, next segment, last segment, with the doctor, Rob Zadiska. Rob, you good?
Oh, I'm good. I'm always good.
I'm over here sweating, man. I want to make sure you ain't sweating like me, man.
Nah, I got a soda.
We'll be right back. More Heart of a Husker.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has come to the attention of the Nebraska Lottery that when people hear a radio commercial in their car for one of our lotto games, Powerball, Mega Millions, or Lucky for Life, they tend to begin daydreaming about how they'll spend the prize money if they win, instead of paying attention to the road. So please, when I tell you that Nebraska Lottery lotto games offer big money and big fun, keep your mind on driving. Do not start thinking about all the things you could buy if you win. Things like bright red sports cars, tropical vacations, 100-inch TVs, hot tubs, SUVs, a new computer, motorboats.
Bob, snap out of it.
Oh, good heavens. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. Perhaps I should go home now.
You better let me drive.
Lotto games from the Nebraska Lottery. Top prize odds vary by game.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24.11 per hour, which grows to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock, A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. Spring is here. Summer is fast approaching. With weddings, vacations, and weekend getaways on your mind, do not let car issues prevent you from getting where you need to be. Car problems shouldn't be something that you put up with. Let us get you back on the road in comfort and safety. We diagnose all makes and models from Porsches to Hondas, Toyotas, and Chevrolets. We fix a variety of issues with all of them with our talented techs and our experienced staff. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, downtown Lincoln, always honest answers.
Steve's Garage Doors and Services is hiring. They are looking for a garage door installation and service technician with a clean driving record. Experience is not required as they will train for the positions. However, mechanical aptitude is required. If you want to come be a part of a small business where you're family, not just an employee, call Steve's Garage Doors and Services today to apply at 402-480-2840. That's 402-480-2840. Steve's Garage Doors and Services.
This Easter, focus on your family instead of dishes with the Venue Easter to-go meals. Prepared fresh in house by our chefs, these meals are ready to heat and eat with packages for 2 to 3 people or 6 to 8 and your choice of juicy beef tenderloin, tasty herb roasted chicken, or our famous 6-pepper crusted prime rib. All meal packages come with sides and we have additional add-ons available to complete your feast. Order today at venuedelivered.com/Easter. That's venuedelivered.com/Easter.
Spring sports are here and it's time to upgrade your equipment. But don't go rushing to your big box store. Play It Again Sports is your place to go for all spring sports equipment for baseball, softball, golf, and disc golf. Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And don't forget, buying from them is a great way to get new products with great discounts by also bringing in your used items for store credit or cash on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Agriculture is the economic engine of the Midwest. At Acres Equipment, we dedicate ourselves to making that engine run smoothly. We supply our farmers and ranchers with quality John Deere equipment, parts, and service. We also deliver the most advanced technology and precision ag strategies to help them farm today and for the future. Acres Equipment, solutions for every field.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has come to the attention of the Nebraska Lottery that when people hear a radio commercial in their car for one of our lotto games, Powerball, Mega Millions, or Lucky for Life, they tend to begin daydreaming about how they'll spend the prize money if they win, instead of paying attention to the road. So please, when I tell you that Nebraska Lottery lotto games offer big money and big fun, keep your mind on driving. Do not start thinking about all the things you could buy if you win. Things like bright red sports cars, tropical vacations, 100-inch TVs, hot tubs, SUVs, a new computer, motorboats.
Bob, snap out of it.
Oh, good heavens. Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. Perhaps I should go home now.
You better let me drive.
Lotto game.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Last segment, part of a Husker, man. Rob, I don't know. I don't feel right. I don't think that this is enough, but that I got. Look, I got notes. I've hit 3.
Come to the event in Norfolk, Warhorse Event Center, July 22nd. We can cover way more ground there. How's
Absolutely.
that? How's that?
And you'll be able to ask questions.
Exactly.
You'll be able to hear some secrets, I call it, secrets of the pipeline.
Stories.
Tell me, from your perspective, how did the pipeline get started? Socks up and all.
You know, collectively we were there, but and I think it was interesting in the sense that you had a group of guys that had come in together. So 4 of us were 5th-year seniors that year. And I mean, usually within a position group, you've got a little bit more mix. There's always that one sophomore, there's 2 seniors, couple of juniors, sometimes a freshman breaks into the lineup. It was very uniform that you had 4 5th-year seniors and a 4th-year junior. And the coaches even recognized that. So from an identity standpoint, the 5 of us really identified as a unit from the get-go, from day one on campus. And so when Graham hit the door that following year, he had – usually when you redshirted, you'd play on the scout team. You're either run offense or pass offense for the defense to practice against. Graham never had to do that. He didn't have to do scout team. And so his redshirt year, he practiced with the second string offensive line, which we were all redshirt freshmen. So that was myself and Sty and Uyghur and Joel. So that was one of the things that was really interesting is they took Aaron, and in his redshirt year, no scout team. Go hang out with these guys because they already recognize that you're going to be a 3 or 4 year starter. Go hang with these other guys that you're going to be playing with for the next 3 years. And so they did that. So we, even during Aaron's redshirt year, he practiced with us. So Sty and Wilkes were getting used to playing next to Aaron when they were redshirt freshmen and Aaron was a redshirt. So you had this incredible continuity. The time we spent together. Heck, Joel and I lined up alongside each other in the Shrine Bowl game. Uyghur was on the other side of the ball, but Joel and I, we even lined up against each other in the Shrine Bowl. I mean, that's how we basically had 6 seasons together. We did 3 days for the Shrine Bowl that day. Then the August heat in Nebraska, that counted as a season. But absolutely. The pipeline name, I don't remember exactly who coined the name other than the group of us. Well, I got to get my camera oriented. The poster behind me over my shoulder right here. So we did that pipeline poster, and the way that started, I had seen a poster of it was an Iowa schedule poster that I saw when I was on a recruiting trip to Iowa when I was a senior in high school. And they called it the 400 Club. And it was all the guys on the football team who could bench press 400. And you had all these guys jacked out, black grease paint, looking kind of badass. It was a good looking poster. And so when we were freshmen, we went to Chris Anderson, the sports information director at the time, and we told her, hey, we want to do a poster. She's like, all right, what's your idea for a poster? And we're like, we're going to get all the guys on the team that have like the biggest arms, the biggest biceps. And at the time, the slang term for big arms was pipes. And so we told Chris, it's like, hey, we got these like we'll get all the biggest, most jacked out guys. We'll get the O lineman, the John Perella, the D lineman, Darren Williams, one of our middle linebackers. Darren looked like a freaking bodybuilder. And we're like, we'll title it. It's like if you got these big pipes, we'll title the poster the Nebraska Pipeline. It's going to be money. This is going to be the greatest idea ever. And Chris was just like, that is the most sophomoric idea I've ever heard in my life. Get that out of my office. Like, so then but then the next 2 or 3 years, we kept going back to Chris, like, Chris, Nebraska Pipeline. It's a great idea. You know it, Chris. Come on. You know it. And so finally, when going into our senior year, Chris grabs a couple of us on the O-line and it's like, hey, you guys remember that poster idea you had? We're like, yeah, the pipeline. We're going to do it, all the huge guys. And she goes, no. We're going to call it the pipeline, but it's going to be the Nebraska offensive line. So we're going to get the starting O-line. That's going to be the pipeline. So that's where the name kind of came from. But we were bugging Chris about that when we were freshmen. The socks up thing, Graham had the idea on that, and his take on it was just, hey, we need to get a little bit more old school here, get back down to the kind of the rub some dirt mentality, where it's one of those, you don't have the nice locker room, you don't have the nice equipment. The helmet has 2 bars and 0 padding. It's Concussionville all over the place. That's the mentality we need to get back to, is this sort of this bare bones Spartan mentality where we're going to get after, we're going to be just a bunch of old school guys who are going to get out there in the field. You talk about being strikers, getting guys who are going to get out there, and we're going to be an offensive line that hits people and gets after it. And, you want that old school mentality. So let's go back to what guys did in the 70s. And Graham had gone and bought like knee-high socks for everybody. He's like, we're going with the full-length socks. You're going to pull the socks up. It's going to be our identity, old school. And so that's where all that came from.
Wow. Listen, July 22nd, Norfolk. I mean, if you miss the pipeline, all 5 guys will be together. Big Rob Zadiska, Brandon Stein, Joel Wilkes, Aaron Graham, Zach Weger. It's going to be a phenomenal night. Do not miss that night. Rob, anything else to lead the people with before we go?
Stories. Come out. You want to hear some stories. You want your kids to know what it was like 30 years ago when we were winning titles. Come out and we'll tell them what it was. We'll tell your kids and grandkids what it was like to win those rings.
Yes, sir. Hey, and listen, without him, there's no Vershawn Jackson. So I always pay homage to my bigger brothers in the faith. And,
love you, buddy.
Man, I love you too, Big Rob. Thank you so much, man, for joining me. Another edition of Heart of a Husker. Rob, give me a best go, Big Red.
GBR, baby.
The Big Giant. We'll see you next week. Heart of a Husker.